Seventh Door, Episode 2. The Blood Oath, Scene 1. Desperation. Sunlight streamed through the grimy window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the stale air. Sadeem paced the floor, his face drawn and haggard from lack of sleep. For days, he'd been tormented by the knowledge contained in his grandfather's journal. The missing locks on the forbidden door were a constant, ominous reminder of the danger he faced. But today, 3 locks were gone. What did that mean? Would they come today? How could he stop them? He remembered his grandfather's journal mentioning a way to seal the door permanently. It would require a ritual, an exchange, a sacrifice. The entry was faded and cryptic, but the meaning was clear. If he wanted to stop whatever lurked behind that door, he needed to make a deal. A deal with the devil. Scene 2. Unearthing the past. Outside, the wind whipped around him, carrying the scent of rain and decaying leaves. Sadeem hurried through the village, avoiding the wary eyes of the villagers. Their whispers followed him like a shroud. He reached an old woman tending a small vegetable patch outside a dilapidated house. Rumor had it she knew all the village secrets. Maybe she could help him. She listened to his story, her gaze sharp and knowing. "Your grandfather made a terrible mistake," she rasped finally, "but you have a chance to undo it. However, you will need something powerful to counter the ancient evil he unleashed. Something made of moonlight." Her words echoed in his ears as he returned to the house, his mind racing. Moonlight. What did that mean? How could he possibly find something made of moonlight? As he searched the house, his eyes fell on an ornately carved silver mirror propped against a wall. Could that be it? The old woman had spoken of something made of moonlight, and mirrors reflect light. But why would his grandfather have put such a powerful artifact here? Was it to counter whatever evil he had unleashed? He placed the mirror on the floor in front of the door, its surface gleaming faintly in the dim light. He began chanting the words from his grandfather's journal, feeling a surge of power from the mirror's reflection, hoping it would be enough. Scene 3. The summoning. Suddenly, the room grew freezing cold. The candles flickered wildly, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls. The hair on the back of his neck stood on end as a guttural voice boomed from behind the door. "So the ritual begins," he continued chanting, bracing himself for whatever might emerge. The blood oath. The door trembled violently, its rotten wood straining against the onslaught from within. A putrid stench filled the room as cracks spiderwebbed across the door. The locks, sensing the weakening barrier, clanged frantically as if trying to escape. With a deafening crash, the door burst open, revealing a swirling vortex of darkness. Tendrils of shadow reached out, coiling around his legs and tugging him towards the abyss. "Help me," he cried out, struggling against the unseen force. The mirror shattered, its moonlight shards scattering and dissolving into motes of dust. His grandfather's journal flew from his grasp, its pages fluttering like a wounded bird before vanishing into the gaping maw of the doorway. The creatures slithered forward, their eyes burning with unholy fire. Fear threatened to consume him, but a primal instinct to survive spurred him on. He stumbled backward, tripping over the scattered locks, sending 4 more crashing to the ground. 5 down, 2 to go. The creature hissed, its voice dripping with malicious glee. The relentless pull of the shadows intensified. The remaining locks rattled ominously, hanging by a thread. The creatures advanced, their grotesque forms coalescing from the darkness. Their eyes gleamed with anticipation. "Almost done, little lamb. Soon we will feast." Terror lent him strength. He scrambled back, desperation lending speed to his movements. He flung himself aside as a massive paw swiped where he stood a moment before. "One more," he gasped, eyeing the final 2 locks, each representing a barrier between him and oblivion. One final push. One final prayer. He slammed the last lock into place, collapsing against the door as the shadowy figures writhed in frustration behind it. The vortex pulsed ominously, tendrils thrashing against the barrier. Their guttural roars reverberated through the house, shaking its very foundations. But he held his ground, his body aching, his breaths coming in ragged gasps. Would it hold? Would they wait? Or would they find another way in? Scene 4. Hope. As the cacophony continued, hope flickered within him. Perhaps by breaking the door seals, he had severed their connection. But the silence that followed was more terrifying than their rage. The vortex dissipated, leaving behind an unnerving stillness. Slowly, he rose, his limbs heavy with fatigue. The door, now devoid of locks, hung precariously from its hinges, a silent testament to the battle he had just endured. He cautiously approached it, his hand hovering over the worn surface. As he pushed it open, the stench of decay and brimstone assaulted his nostrils. Within, an inky blackness yawned, seemingly bottomless. A single, aged book lay on the threshold. Drawn to it, he picked it up. Its pages, filled with arcane symbols and incantations, whispered of forbidden lore. This was the source of his grandfather's pact, the key to understanding the horrors he had unleashed. As he delved deeper into the book, the truth of the seventh door unraveled before him. It was not merely a gateway, but a nexus of unspeakable entities, beings that thrived on fear and despair. His grandfather, in his hubris or desperation, had sought their power, opening the door to unimaginable consequences. The door shuddered, as if disturbed by his intrusion. The book in his hands pulsed with a sinister energy. "They are returning," a voice rasped from behind him. The voice of his grandfather, twisted and malevolent. He spun around, but there was no one there. The door, however, had begun to glow with an eerie light, tendrils of darkness reaching out as if to drag him back into its abyss. His heart pounded in his chest, echoing the rhythmic creaks of the door. Panic surged through him. He had to escape, to find a way to seal the door permanently. But how? The book offered a clue, a chant to banish the entities back to their realm. It was risky, requiring a complete sacrifice of his own essence to sever the connection. Was it worth it? Could he bear the cost? The door pulsed, its malevolent presence growing stronger with each passing moment. He had little time left. His breath hitched as he began the chant, pouring every ounce of his being into the words. The door flared, its malevolence intensifying. But as he reached the final syllables, the room plunged into darkness. Silence descended, heavy and absolute. The darkness was absolute, pressing against him like a physical force. Then, a sliver of moonlight pierced the gloom, followed by another and another until the room was flooded with ethereal light. The oppressive darkness retreated, revealing the door. It was sealed, no longer emanating an evil aura, but simply a weathered piece of wood. He collapsed, drained but exhilarated. The worst was over. But as dawn broke, he knew his journey was far from over. He had banished the creatures back to their realm, but the door remained, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond his perception. Now, he needed to find a way to destroy it, to sever his family's ties to the House of Doors forever. As the villagers stirred from their slumber, he resolved to seek their help, to unravel the door's origins and find a way to obliterate it. But would they assist him, or were they hiding something themselves? To be continued.